3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is October the 25th, 2021. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
Is this our Halloween show?
This is our last episode before Halloween.
Okay, then first question is it pronounced Halloween or Halloween?
Halloween.
Halloween.
Not Hall. I guess,
how many L's are in the word? I'm pretty sure there's two.
There's two. So
like a hall. Like a hallway.
Like a Halloween. Interesting. What do you think Google says?
We're off to a good start, hey?
Yeah, we don't even know how to say Halloween properly.
This is how our podcast works. Carl's like, okay, I have an opening. We're going to start with this. And then I'm like, okay. And then I start with something completely different.
Yeah, but I did surprise you with the spooky entrance.
You did. I wasn't expecting that.
So I assume we want okay, so I think this is not the first time we've had this issue. So here we go. Okay, can you hear that?
I kind of heard it. I think I'm right.
Halloween.
Okay. And then
Halloween.
What is the second one from? I need the source.
So there's the British and American pronunciations.
Which one was first?
First was American. So the long A, Halloween, is the American way. The short A is the British way.
Well, I guess we're both right.
We're both right. It's just you're more American than I am.
I guess so.
Which I think that's the Windsor in you.
It would be. It would be.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Anyways, what did you want to talk about, Carl?
So I was browsing the internet this week, as one does, and stumbled upon a very interesting website, as I'm sure we also all have. This one was entitled didthehabslose.com. Have you been to this website?
I have, but when I go to it, it's nothing.
So that's what's interesting. So about 4 days ago, the day after, I guess the evening of the Carolina Hurricanes Montreal Canadiens game, which was, not a great game for like a close competitive game wise, but a good game in drama. That evening, the Carolina Hurricanes, because it was copyrighted 2021, bunch of jerks hockey, I believe was the copyright on it. Carolina Hurricanes put out this website, didthehabslose.com, to let us know if, in fact, the Habs had lost.
And the answer was yes.
Which also then had a 20% off discount code for a shirt.
I wonder what their plan was if the Habs won.
Never publish that website.
Would have never seen the light of day.
No.
You got to respect that hustle. Like, that's good commitment on their part.
It's a joke that had a slightly more than 50% chance of playing out. And they went with it, and it worked.
I love the pettiness between these two teams.
It is very, most of it is just between the marketing departments, but because I don't think the players really care.
I think it's going to start showing up on the ice. For as much as players come out and say, oh, we don't pay attention to what's being said out there, I stay off social media, I don't believe a word of it. I think these guys all have shadow or burner accounts and they're all reading what's going on in the league. I think this rivalry is going to exit the offices and make its way onto the ice, especially with how dramatic of a finish there was last week in that game.
Well, when you have Kasperi Kotkaniemi scoring in that game, and that's all you need to start lighting a fire. Right? The first time they meet, he gets a goal.
Absolutely. And you don't think the players heard about didthehabslose.com? And you think they were just like, whatever, doesn't bother me.
I felt bad for the Red Wings, who was the next team that the Habs played, because they came out and they made sure they were like, did the Habs lose? No, we didn't. We very much did not lose today.
I knew that was going to happen too. I knew it. And it was like a romping.
Oh, what? 6-1?
6-1 was the final score.
Yeah, not good.
Not good for Detroit, but I think the Habs needed that for morale.
Oh, with all due respect to the Red Wings, if you go into that game and lose to the Red Wings after losing to the Hurricane, like you're now 0-6, it's bad news Bears.
It's very bad news Bears. But this team, like even with that one victory under their belt, it's bad news Bears for this team.
Oh, absolutely.
Like their star players are not playing like star players. Like I just saw today, Shea Weber is now traveling with the team just to be with the guys.
Just to pump them up a little bit.
Like that's how down on themselves they are.
Yeah.
It's not good for them. It's still early in the season. There's lots of time to go. They could go on one heater and be back in it. They're not as good as their playoff standings last year.
No. And I think they should have known that, right? Like the team themselves should have been able to realize. And many of them did, one of them not being Marc Bergevin, but like that's what you should have expected. This comeback to earth was expected.
Absolutely. And it's just so great that it coincides with the Hurricanes rocketing away from the earth as fast as possible. Complete opposite directions. And this rivalry has been bubbling for 2 years now.
We've had offer sheets both ways. So yeah, I like a little good fun, right? I think too often we're concerned with not giving the other team bulletin board material. Do it. Because if that doesn't pump up your own guys too, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. And then after that night, I don't know if the website was taken down or the domain was outbid, but some Habs fans took over the domain.
I was going to say, now it just says Carolina Hurricanes suck, which isn't like, it's not even creative. That's what's disappointing about it.
It really is not. It's very sore loser-ish.
The idea is fine. The execution is miserable.
Sure. So that was fun. That was fun last week. And now the website, I think the domain is just expired and is available again.
Oh, I was on it today, and unless it like in the last 30 minutes has changed, I was on that site.
Well, with the link you sent me when I clicked on it, is just buy this domain.
Oh, well, interesting.
So if anyone wants to buy the domain, and every night that the Habs play, update it, you can do that. It's pretty easy to just leave it until they win. But you could have gone 3 weeks and never have to update it. Easy. It's a very efficient way of running a website.
It's true.
And you know what? Just swap out team names. Like now that the Habs have won, just swap it out for Coyotes, swap it out for Blackhawks.
Yeah. Lots of choices, sadly. Let's start there. So we've got teams in this small amount of a season that have yet to win and some teams that have yet to lose. Do you want to start looking at the good teams or the bad teams?
No, let's talk about the bad teams. We've already been talking about the bad teams. Let's keep it going.
All right. We also talked about Carolina, who is in the good team category.
That's true. And we'll be talking to them. Yes, we will be talking about them. Let's talk about the bad teams.
And so there are only two teams that are winless so far this season. Yeah. Those two teams, Chicago Blackhawks and Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah. The Blackhawks have now one of the worst starts in franchise history.
I don't know why I have, because I look at the schedule and I'm like, I get they played the Avalanche first. I watched them play your Red Wings yesterday. I watched them play the Devils.
It's a fun game.
Once. If you're a Mason Raymond fan, or Lucas Raymond.
Carl, did you do that on purpose?
I 100% did not.
All right, whatever. Let's move past it. Here's what I find so surprising about the Blackhawks, okay? Because before the season started, I don't remember where we ranked them in our division rankings, but they made some moves this offseason that I thought made them a better team. They brought in Fleury. Kirby Doc is back. Jonathan Taves is back. I think, Seth Jones they brought in. So like net, they started the season with more talent than they ended the season with last year.
Absolutely.
Is that a fair statement?
I don't think you'd find many who disagree with that.
So what is going on with this team? Why can they not pull it together? Seth Jones in particular is having a very, very poor start to the season.
Hey, I look at Seth Jones and I look at Marc-Andre Fleury as the biggest reasons why this team is struggling. Marc-Andre Fleury looks like the guy that almost retired and was like, I guess I'll play one more year. Like, it is unrecognizable from his performance in Vegas.
It's pretty bad. And just watching the game last night, I mean, Fleury in normal times, like just think about Fleury over the course of his career. He always looks like he's like half a step behind the play. And that's why he's always making these sprawling saves, right?
Right.
Last night, which I assume, extends to the rest of the season so far, he looks like he's a step and a half behind the play. And he wasn't getting a ton of help from his defensemen. The puck was bouncing all over their feet and legs, but he just did not look like the Vezina winning goalie that we saw last season.
I mean, when you look at like how many shots he's taking, right? Like he's getting almost 30 shots a night on him. So like that's a lot. But he's like, that's not an issue, right? The location of those shots is an issue, right? Like you said, not getting any help. And I think he is used to playing behind a very good blue line in Vegas, where he's able to, make those easy saves from the outside and not have to worry so much about being an athletic 37-year-old goaltender.
Yeah, he definitely needs that support from his demon, especially in front of the net. Because he just looks like his heart's not into it. Like you mentioned, he kind of looks like he thinks he should have retired. It does look like that.
Why he's played 4 of their 6 games. I believe he's been the losing goaltender in all of them. Yeah. I mean, I guess they haven't won a game. So yes, obviously he has been the losing goalie in all of them, but in just a very disappointing start to the year for the Blackhawks. On the flip side, we have Arizona,
which is kind of the opposite because everyone expected them to be like this.
They are who we thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. I mean, they're losing in way more spectacular fashion than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect to see teams putting up 6-7 goals every single night.
Here's an issue with this team. Anytime Andrew Ladd is tied for second on the team in goals, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Right. So you got Andrew Ladd leading this team, and his ice time is obviously way down. It's more than it should be on this team. But like Carter Hutton somehow got worse after his stint in Buffalo.
At least in Buffalo, he had a couple NHL caliber defensemen in front of him.
It's unreal. Like, I know we mentioned it last week, but I have no idea who's on this roster.
I mean, who I saw today was on the roster that I was like, did not know that. Ryan Zingle.
You know what? I watched a lot of terrible hockey this weekend because I was also watching a Coyotes game. Oh, that's why. Because they were playing the Oilers and I was out eating dinner and the game was on. That's why. Makes
sense. No one would watch that by choice.
I was not watching, and I also was like, "Hey, him! I remember him." But this is a team that's full of those guys, and a lot of new players to this team. And this is kind of what we expect. So I want to take a look then with what we have for both of these teams. Who do you think is going to win first?
I think Chicago's going to win first.
So here's what we've got. On the 27th, which is Wednesday, the Chicago Blackhawks play the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Cool. Definitely going to win that.
Tonight, Arizona is playing Florida.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Florida. We'll talk to Florida. That game is currently on. Yes.
Yes.
That seems like a loss. I don't know what the score is right now.
It's 2-1 Florida right now, halfway through the second period.
Okay. So that seems like a Florida win.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's where I put my money.
In the next stretch, they then go and play Tampa, Washington, Carolina, Philadelphia, and then end this long, lengthy road trip in Anaheim.
That doesn't seem good for them.
After Toronto, the Blackhawks also go to Carolina, which, I mean, this is looking great for Carolina to never lose again. The Blues, which is a better matchup for them. And then the Senators come to town. So on November 1st, Ottawa rolls into town for Chicago. On November 5th is when the Ducks play. So, I mean, even if we look at like teams that are in the same like quasi tier of them, Chicago hits that first.
Yes. I mean, as soon as you said the Leafs, I was like, done.
Are the Leafs?
That's really a whole other topic, though.
I was going to say, are the Leafs really going to roll over for the Blackhawks?
I mean, who did they roll over for the other night? Pittsburgh. They rolled over for.
Yeah.
And then before that, San Jose, they rolled over for.
Oh my goodness, that was a bad. I watched that game too. I'm watching the worst hockey imaginable these days.
They also rolled over for. Did they roll over for Ottawa this year?
I don't think so.
I think they won both games against Ottawa.
But yeah, that's a different story. So we both agree Chicago wins first?
I think so, yes.
Well, congratulations, Arizona. You're well on your way. Now that you finally have a first round pick, it's going to be high.
Yeah, they're going to finish dead last by a long shot, and they're going to draft fourth.
Welcome to being, I mean, lots of teams have had it, but I just think of Colorado, who had it happen twice.
Yeah, we both know. But we also both know how well a fourth round pick can work out for you.
Is that where Mr. Raymond was picked?
4th overall.
Oh, and
I'm trying really hard to temper my hype because it's very early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he scored a hat trick last night against the Blackhawks, but he scored a hat trick.
A hat trick.
A hat trick.
A hat trick.
That's 3 goals.
We have to say it 3 times, once for each goal.
And he had an assist. I don't have a hat on me right now. Otherwise, I would throw it at you.
Well, you threw it yesterday. That's why.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah. Because I watched that Red Wings game, and granted, they were playing Chicago, so let's give that caveat. But there's a lot to be excited about right now as a Red Wings fan, is there not?
Oh, yeah. This team is looking fun. And, you know, there are 3 players, not to speak of the old group, just kind of newcomers who came in, who last night looked really good and exciting. 1 was Lucas Raymond. 2 was Moritz Seider. And 3 was Nedeljkovic.
Alex Nedeljkovic.
He had a couple big saves.
Is Seider still your Calder pick? Even with Raymond scoring a hat trick last night?
Yes, Seider's still my Calder pick.
So
I think he leads all rookies in assists right now. And he's like top 10 in defenseman points currently.
I mean, you know how much I love a Calder winning defenseman.
Yeah, I do know that.
Is he? So for those that have, if you were to make a comparison, because I mean, you say that, I start thinking of Cale Makar, and I'm like, oh boy, if you have him, what would like stylistically, like how does he compare to some of these other players? For those that haven't been watching Red Wings games and they tune in, what can they expect from him?
He's not like Makar in that he's kind of electrifying. Like he's got a ton of speed and he'll pick up the puck in his own end and he'll finish behind the goal line in the opponent's end. Yeah. Seider's not like that. He has not been very flashy. He's not skating up and down the ice. He's a very solid defensive player, but he's big and he's been playing a pretty physical game. He's pushing guys around and annoying some veteran players who he probably shouldn't be annoying. Like I'm talking about the Victor Hedmans out there.
Yeah, those are guys that can hurt you.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been quarterbacking the power play. Like overall, I find that he's a very smart player. He doesn't overexert himself. He plays quietly and strong.
Kind of, I mean, as you described that, would you like Alex Pietrangelo?
Alex Pietrangelo is the name that popped into my head. Yes.
There we go. Well, I mean, that is what you can hope for a rookie defenseman coming in and being able to do that.
That'd be amazing if he turned into Alex Pietrangelo.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So we've got the teams that are losing. We have way more teams that haven't lost yet, though.
Yeah.
So let's look to the top of the standings now. Are we counting an OT loss as a loss?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Then we got 4 teams that are yet to lose.
One in every division.
Look at that.
Right?
That's true.
Metro, Atlantic, Central, and Pacific.
Yep. You're right. No. Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. Panthers.
So in the Metro, we have the Carolina Hurricanes have yet to lose a game. They're playing tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Currently winning 2-1.
Currently winning 2-1 off a very nice go-ahead goal. I don't know if you saw it. It was pretty exciting.
I was podcasting.
Oh, right. Right. Undivided attention and all that.
Exactly.
In the Atlantic Division, we have the Florida Panthers also currently playing and also currently winning by a score of 2-1 still.
As you check the scores.
Yes, I checked the score. 3-1 Florida.
Ooh, look at that.
Okay. In the Central, we have the St. Louis Blues, who are 4-0-0. They will be playing tonight.
They are currently. It is 0-0 halfway through the first against the Kings of Los Angeles.
I took LA to win that game.
It's a bold pick. I don't hate it, though.
I don't know. I like that pick. And lastly, in the Pacific Division, we have the Edmonton Oilers.
Who don't play tonight at all.
But Connor McDavid is on fire.
I mean, Connor McDavid is, like, if you're talking about like that you picked, you put some jelly beans, you put some of your dollars down on the Kings. Connor McDavid is the one that you put all of your money on.
Yeah.
And no matter how much, right? If you're doing the daily fantasy right now, you pick Connor McDavid until he gives you a good reason not to.
Which he might never.
I don't know. I mean, he might set the record. I don't know what the record is for the highest daily fantasy salary of a player in the NHL, but he very might set that.
So we have 4 teams who have not lost a game yet.
Mm-hmm.
One in each division. I want to know, Carl, which of these teams do you think is going to lose first?
I actually am in full agreement with you. You think the Blues are losing tonight. I also think that the Blues are the first of those teams to lose.
It's a pretty safe bet, I think. Of those 4 teams that are up there, I think the Blues are most likely to lose first, and it's not even really close. So,
what's interesting about the Blues is that, like, the Oilers are doing it because their best players are playing amazing. The Panthers are doing it because their best players are playing amazing. The Hurricanes' best players are playing great. And the Blues, now, perhaps we might be seeing the coming out party of Jordan Kyrou, and that's why they're winning, right? As he's leading this team in so many ways, but they're just the guys who should be doing it, right? Like Ryan O'Reilly's been okay. I mean, Vlad Tarasenko showing up, but like they're just kind of like by committee getting it done right now.
Which is how a team like this has to win. Like you mentioned all these other teams' best players, performing up to the level that they should be at. Like, I don't want to go through every team and who their best players are, but the Blues' best players don't hold a candle to these other teams.
No,
not even close.
I don't. Who is the best player on the Blues?
I don't know. Tarasenko, maybe at one point, maybe not anymore.
So
Ryan O'Reilly.
I think it's probably Ryan O'Reilly. And he plays a very different style of play than those other guys, right? Like those other ones are offensive powerhouses. Ryan O'Reilly is not.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the only way that they're going to get it done. And, everyone seems to have stopped talking about it, but it was like 6 to 8 weeks ago where everyone was sure Tarasenko was going to be traded. Is that still going to come to fruition? Because if Tarasenko goes, this team's going to be worse.
Yeah, for sure. I think winning fixes a lot of that, right? All of a sudden you start going undefeated and Vlad Tarasenko's like, yeah, I'll stick around. It's fine.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a factor. And Jordan Binnington's been good.
Very much so. This is a team, and we could do this when we get to each of these teams, I bet. And I have not done it for every team, but I bet with these teams going on these runs, like these aren't sustainable numbers that are being put up by these teams, right? Like, obviously they're all going to lose at some point in the season, but I look at like the one that I like to just look at is shooting percentage, right? Because that's like, you're never going to have a season shooting above like 20%.
Yeah.
Right. Like the best players in the league, Connor McDavid's, etc., are not scoring at over 20% usually, right? There might be the odd season. So when you look at this and you see David Perron shooting 39%, it's like, well, like you're shooting, like you're getting double the goal production that could be expected. So, as you start playing better teams, you stop some of that puck luck starts to disappear. This is going to go away for the Blues.
Yes, absolutely. Now I'm excited to look at those other teams though and see what they're shooting at.
Zach Kassian shooting 75%.
Oh. What about the other Zach there, Hyman?
Zach Hyman is second. It's a Zach attack at the top of the shooting percentage chart for the Oilers. Attack. It is he's shooting 41%.
Wow.
Which that means they have a combined 8 goals on 16 shots.
It's crazy.
For the Zacks.
Does Hyman have 5 goals already this year?
5 for Hyman, 3 for Kassian.
Unsustainable. But if those guys stop scoring, it's not like the Oilers stop winning.
No, hardly.
Right? Like they have better players than that.
Well, and that's how you can get away with those kinds of things, right? Yeah. Like that's what's led to them being 5-0, especially with Mike Smith playing pretty terribly in net.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I believe he's now hurt. So that explains part of his terrible play. Mikko Koskinen stepped in and been okay. But again, they play teams like Arizona.
So I kind of get the sense, okay, so we agree the Blues are going to lose first. I get the sense that you're not ready to say the Oilers are next.
Ooh. I think that I would pick the Oilers next. Yeah.
You would pick the Oilers next.
I would. I think because of the goaltending that we talk about. Like they have just been outscoring what they're doing, what the Toronto Maple Leafs should be doing, and what everyone's been expecting the Leafs to do for years is just outscore your opponent. And the Oilers have been doing that.
But they should be able to keep doing it based on their upcoming schedule. Like they don't have a tough schedule ahead of them.
Hit us with the highlights.
Their next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games: Philadelphia, Vancouver, Seattle, Nashville, New York Rangers, Detroit Red Wings.
I mean, that Rangers is going to be a tough game. Is that on the road?
Maybe the Rangers. That's at home.
Okay. Yeah.
So
it's not a tough schedule.
It's not a terribly tough schedule.
But we already saw that literally Arizona and Chicago are going to Carolina.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, those seem like wins for the Hurricanes.
Yes, absolutely. And then Panthers, who knows what's going on. Like the Panthers have just been on fire. This is a pretty exciting game they had against Tampa last week.
I mean, Tampa had a couple of exciting games. That Avalanche game was really something. Also, the Washington Capitals just blew a 4-1 lead to the Senators.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
It's 4-4?
Halfway through the second.
Oh, man. Or is it 4-3? NHL is showing 4-3.
The fourth goal just happened.
Oh, man.
Those Capitals are struggling in net.
Brutal.
I think that was old Stützle putting it in there. It was
Stützle?
No,
fourth overall pick? No, wait, third
9?
Overall pick.
Who's that? Number 19. Oh, Batherson, not Stützle.
Oh, okay.
Still, though, tied up. Crazy. Yeah, I think the Panthers are another team right now in a Blues-esque manner that are really getting it done by committee, right? Like they are getting a lot of production just up and down the lineup. And this is one that they're not outscoring their opponents in a ridiculous way. They're just playing really good hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're getting really solid performances from Bobrovsky specifically.
Yes. Yeah.
Which they needed. It's been like 3 years.
He finally shows up.
He's there.
I think, because was it last year that Luongo came back to the organization?
Yes. He didn't play last year, though.
No.
Just in a management role.
Yeah. And I think that's going to have a factor on this goaltending, right? When you have a guy like him who's been through, I mean, I cannot think of a goaltender who's been through as much like drama and difficult times and having to overcome those as Luongo.
That's interesting. I don't know what his role within the organization is. I assume they just kind of gave him some generic advisor role. But to think that he's working with the goalies is very, very interesting. Never occurred to me.
That or he's making sure that the toilet paper is always stocked.
He's also running Team Canada, though, isn't he, for the Olympics?
Right now, he's a little distracted doing that. But I mean, we see head coaches in the NHL that show up and do that. No problem.
Maybe that's why Bobrovsky's doing so well. He doesn't have to look over his shoulder and see Luongo there watching the whole time. Some pressure's taken off.
Maybe that's it. So I guess, we both agree it's going to be the Blues first, then the Oilers. Hurricanes or Panthers? Which one's our last team standing?
I'm going to say the Hurricanes.
Because of schedule?
Because of schedule.
Okay. What do we got for a schedule?
I don't know about the Hurricanes. Well, we know that they're playing the Blackhawks and the Coyotes this coming week, right?
Yeah.
So tonight, the Panthers are playing the Coyotes. Then they go to Boston, or they don't go to Boston. They host the Bruins.
Okay. Boston is actually going to both of these teams next. So both of their next games are against Boston.
And then they travel to Detroit, where they're obviously going to lose. And then they travel to Boston on a back-to-back. This is Florida.
So after, the Boston games aside for Carolina, the next game that is against quality competition, because they host Chicago and Arizona and then go to Chicago. And then from Chicago, they actually go and they are playing the Panthers. And I feel like, because that's going to be game 10 on the season, I'm not sure that they'll be 9-0 at that point in time. The Hurricanes would be, the Panthers would have to be 10-0. I'm not sure that either of these teams are making it that long undefeated.
No, that's a long way to go.
But I can hope.
So what do
November 6th. I think it's going to be, the Panthers played two good teams. One good team twice, right? They play Boston twice.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to go a long way. But I do think, I think the way that they're playing the Panthers is going to be a result that's going to be continued better. But I think they lose one of those games against Boston.
Agreed. So there you go. The Hurricanes
We've solved the puzzle.
will be the longest undefeated team to start the season this year.
And now that we've solved that, let's take a break. We'll be back on the other side, seeing what else has been going on in the NHL. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. I made a mistake.
Wow. Carl, my 2-year-old can count higher than you.
Well, look, not everyone has
Or you
used
could
their
have kept
dad
going.
I could have, but I don't think everyone wants to sit here and listen to me count for the rest of the show.
I was wondering how far you were going to go. I'm glad you stopped at 6.
Yeah, that was enough.
I don't know. Okay, before we move off of the NHL, I want to play a game with you because there's a lot of big name players out there who have played 4, 5, 6 games this year and haven't scored yet. So similar to what we did before the break about figuring out which team was going to lose first, which team was going to win longest. I want to play this with players. Okay. So I got a list of players here. We're going to do fire round because we're running a little short on time. Okay. So you tell me which player you think is going to score first.
So we're putting them head to head. I pick which one scores first.
Head to head, you pick which one scores first.
Okay.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Patrice Bergeron. Okay.
I mean, his line is better than Nugent-Hopkins' line.
True. I was surprised to see he hadn't scored yet, to be honest with you. Also, both of those players are on my fantasy hockey team, so
that explains why you're on too.
I think I'm feeling about that. Jonathan Toews or Jamie Benn?
I don't like it, but it's Jamie Benn.
It's okay. He'll never hit 300. Johnny Gaudreau or Mitch Marner?
He was at 300. Was he not? I think he won't catch us. Jonathan Toews or Mitch Marner? Us. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. No. Johnny Gaudreau or Mitch Marner?
Oh, Mitch Marner.
Oh, interesting.
Although that Gaudreau, I mean, Elias Lindholm did score another hat. He scored a hat trick this week. So maybe if he shared the puck a little bit, wasn't so selfish.
Meanwhile, no one in Toronto scored a hat trick. So
barely anyone in Toronto is scoring. You know what? You're right. Johnny Gaudreau.
All right. Gaudreau it is. I put Marner twice. Okay, let's do Marner again. Mark Stone or Mitch Marner?
Mark Stone needs to be healthy.
Is he not playing right now?
No, he is not.
So Mitch Marner.
I mean, that's part of the reason that the Knights are in such a pickle is all the people that are out. Stone is out. Pacioretty's out. Alex Tuck is out. And Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't play for them anymore.
That explains a lot, including why his name was beside 0 in the goals column. Well, there you go, Mitch Marner. There's one for your confidence. You'll score this year before Mark Stone.
We did give you a guy who's injured as your second opponent.
Okay, 2 former Los Angeles Kings, Jake Muzzin or Alec Martinez?
Martinez.
Oh, interesting. Brent Burns or Jeff Petrie?
Brent Burns. The Sharks are actually looking not terrible this year.
I know. They're looking good. Exciting stuff, eh?
And Petrie plays for the Habs, so
no. True. Okay, I got 2 more for you, and I'm gonna go out on a big one. Blake Wheeler or Phil Kessel?
Blake Wheeler also hurt right now. So no, he's in COVID protocol right now, I believe. I know
he is.
He's out. So I'm going to go with Phil Kessel. Simply, again, the Mark Stone protocol.
Man, that was a roller coaster. I'm confused about Blake Wheeler. Is he hurt?
He is out of the lineup. I forget if it is an injury or if he's in COVID.
Okay, so we're going Kessel. Okay, lastly, Alex Pietrangelo or John Carlson?
John Carlson.
Well, there you have it. That was the round of who will score first.
We've solved it. John Carlson has already scored. He scored tonight.
Oh, I knew that would happen at least once. Well, there you go. You were right.
Nailed it. Because Alex Pietrangelo didn't get to play yet.
Nailed it.
So
let's check in on one more score. Buffalo's beating Tampa Bay 2-1.
Okay, so how do we feel about this Buffalo team?
I'll tell you how I feel about Buffalo. I feel the same way about Buffalo as I do every year. This happens at the start of every season. Buffalo goes on a heater. Their record's like 10-1-0, and then they tank the rest of the season.
Yeah, they went 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? The COVID cut short season. They went on a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Every year, at the start of every year, everyone's like, oh, they look great, playoff bound. And then they just fall apart. Although maybe not having Jack Eichel in the dressing room has really lightened the mood there, and all the players feel free. I don't know.
It's the same that's happened to Bobrovsky with Luongo distracted.
So everyone agrees then that Jack Eichel is actually running that Sabres team, right?
I think we have to, yeah. Seems like the only logical conclusion.
So
I thought we almost got a second John
Sabres.
Carlson goal. I thought we had one.
Oh, I would very much like for the Capitals to win that game.
Instead, it was this Ovechkin guy. He's just chasing that record.
Man, he's going to get it too.
All right. So we have, you mentioned Roberto Luongo. You mentioned us turning away from the NHL. We got a long list of goaltenders that are hopefuls for Team Canada. And it seems weird to me that this was like the way that they did it. Like, is this an official list from the team? Is this what's happening?
Yeah. So I think what happened is all the teams had to submit like a long list of their entire team. So there's like 50 players that were named by Team Canada as being on their tryouts list.
Okay.
And you know what? Like, I think with Team Canada specifically, I don't really need to talk about the forwards. There's not a ton of debate there. Defensemen, there's maybe some room for discussion about who's going to make it, who's not. What I was really surprised with is the goalie situation, because it doesn't seem to be very good for Team Canada.
Well, so let's take a look at the list. So 6 goaltenders were named, and the list includes Marc-Andre Fleury, Carey Price, Jordan Binnington, Darcy Kuemper, Carter Hart, and Mackenzie Blackwood.
Right? Like, where did Blackwood come from?
I have not done the deepest of dives into Team Canada goaltenders, but it seems like you could have picked somebody else.
You would think so, because at the time too, he was unvaccinated. He's now going through the process of getting vaccinated because he's on this list. But Mackenzie Blackwood was, I would have never even thought to put him on this list. No. So I'm not sure what's going on there. The others kind of make sense to be in the discussion.
Here's a list of goaltenders. Tell me yes or no, would you rather this player than Mackenzie Blackwood? And we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to go with Chris Driedger.
Yes.
Seattle backup.
Yes.
Would you rather Tristan Jarry?
Yes.
Michael Hutchinson?
No.
Matt Murray?
Yeah.
Arizona Coyote Carter Hutton?
No.
Montreal Canadiens Jake Allen?
Yeah.
Martin Jones?
Yeah, probably.
James Reimer?
Yeah, just for that smile.
We know. I'm not even going to ask you about Jonathan Bernier.
Absolutely.
And the last two, Braden Holtby and Mike Smith.
Yes and no.
In that order? Yes to Holtby, no to Smith?
Yes.
Okay.
Although even Holtby, I'm like, I don't know. Well, and let's keep in mind too, this would be for the number 3 spot, right?
Exactly. It's like a 4-horse race for the final spot.
Yeah, I would think so. But this is all too contingent on Carey Price and where he's at, if he's playing, if he's not playing. Like, who knows what's going to happen there?
Right. So with these goalies listed, who do you think are the 6 that Canada or the 3 that Canada should bring to the Olympics?
Price, Hart, and Kuemper, I think.
You mean it was Carter Hart?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what we call him now?
What did I call
You just said Cart.
him? Because I was trying to decide between Kuemper and Hart.
I think that no matter what you do, you bring Carter Hart as your third goalie.
As the third. I agree.
Yeah. I think that's like, to me, that's a lock. If Carey Price is back and able and willing to attend, I think he's
number one.
Number one.
For sure.
And then, I guess it's really down to me, the other three: Binnington, Marc-Andre Fleury, and Kuemper. And I think it's just whoever's playing better at the time. Which isn't,
but at the time it's going to be right like now. It's going to have to be like December, isn't it?
Yeah, but if Jordan Binnington never loses a game, you roll him out there.
Yeah, I guess so. I agree. It's just it really shocked me to see this list of names as the Canadian goalies in the league. Like, it's surprising how many of the top goalies in the leagues are not Canadian for a league that's, mostly Canadian players
in such a big way. Yeah. And I think, part of it, I think comes down to the fact if you look across the CHL, right, there are European goalies all over the place in the CHL. And so I think just that development of them is not as strong as it once was, because they've made it open and started having other teams in other countries in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then I think my second thought on this is, does it matter who Team Canada brings as their goalie?
Not
like,
really.
Don't you think any of these, maybe not any of the six, but of the top 3 or 4 that we just talked about, any of them could really play in net behind the roster that Team Canada is going to put out there?
Right. As much as their goaltending has lagged behind, the rest of the team is doing just fine.
Yeah. So I think it'll be fine. Those were just kind of my 2 thoughts on that. It's an interesting list.
Yeah, it is. Ever since we had Roberto Luongo retire, you have now Marc-Andre Fleury is not what he was before, right? Last Olympics, Marc-Andre Fleury at the Olympics would have been great. We would have been celebrating that he was our goalie. Yeah,
absolutely.
They didn't go, and now we're left with old Marc-Andre Fleury, who I'm not sure I want to bring.
Not the way he's been playing this year.
Like right now, if you had to pick right now, you'd be picking Kuemper.
I think so, yeah.
I'd be going Price, Binnington, Carter Hart.
Again, to me, Kuemper and Binnington are, you can swap them out.
I can get behind that. We've seen more out of Binnington that he's been able to do it. For sure. Like Darcy Kuemper might be able to, but he's also played in Arizona for a lot of his career. So show me what you can do at, I was going to say, show me what you can do at the NHL level, which is kind of true.
Fair.
Before I'm going to send you as an Olympian.
That's fair though. Like at Colorado's level, like show me what you can do at the top of the league.
Right. If you can't play with future Team Canada forward Nathan McKinnon, and future Team Canada defenseman Cale Makar, right? That's your team.
Pretty much.
Figured out.
Pretty much.
Well, we will see. Rosters are going to start coming down shortly, but it is time for us to turn our attention to the Pavel Bure must-watch games of the week. What we do with these, we head on over to Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast every day. Today's game, Hurricanes Leafs, which is currently 3-1. So you head over there and you pick who you think is going to score the game-winning goal for each of these games. Right now, if the game stays at 3-1, that game-winning goal is scored by Steven Lorentz. Have you heard that name before?
Nope, don't even know who that is. That's the guy who scored that second goal?
Yeah.
Wow. Good for him.
Yeah. The rest of the goal scorers, Niederreiter, Aho, as expected. So you go over there, you pick who you think is going to score the game winner. If you're right, you get a point. Or we should probably, maybe next week, we crown a local short time winner, the winner for October. Send them out, I don't know, pack of hockey cards, puck, and say thanks. We'll do a random draw. But this has been without us doing points for assists, it's tough sledding right now out there.
Yeah.
So we've got some unexpected game winners, and just like people, you just don't overthink it. When we pick the Oilers, which we'll probably pick it this week, pick Connor McDavid. It's that easy. So congratulations.
But we got to make it a little hard because the prize is so good.
Right. I mean, we are handing out at Christmas, we will be sending out a jersey to the leader. And the leader is currently Scott. So congratulations to Scott at Kestrel Scott on Twitter. Brody's in second. And then we've got a 3-way tie between Drew, Alex, and Matt behind them. So anyone's game at this point in time. If you think, oh, I'm behind, it has not been easy. You are not behind. And this first one, we just do a draw based on each point is a name in a hat. So you can still get yourself some fine stuff. Let's turn to Tuesday, the 26th of October.
I think the playoff rematch of Vegas, Colorado is the game to watch tomorrow.
I think so too. That seems like the right idea.
Good.
The next day, though, I think we got to go with that aforementioned Bruins Panthers game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right? Can Florida keep it going against Boston?
Thursday. Do you want to watch Boston 2 nights in a row?
Well, I'm like, Boston plays Carolina the next night. You got that. You got the Blues that might still be undefeated against Colorado. Like that Thursday night has some good games.
Then you got Arizona versus Tampa Bay.
Arizona, Tampa. I looked down at the bottom. I mean, we've got Minnesota, Seattle. Seattle's still an interesting team to watch. That's at home. They had their home opener. Did you see anything from that arena?
Just the goal. And the prices of concessions. Somebody posted that to Reddit.
My goodness, 24 American dollars for beef dip.
I know, but like some of those food items, and look, this is not just Seattle. This is across the board in stadiums and arenas. Who's eating like roast beef melt sandwiches at hockey games?
There was beef tartare on the menu at a hockey game. That's not what I'm there for.
No, I would not eat beef tartare at an arena.
Can I put fake nacho cheese on my beef tartare? Do they serve it with that on the side? Because that's what I'm there for at the hockey game.
You can throw some jalapenos on there.
Yeah, extra, please.
Okay, so I think we should do Boston, Carolina.
All right, back-to-back Boston. Boston fans, don't say we never did nothing.
We're making up for all the years of not picking them.
Yeah. Friday, what's interesting about this week, pretty evenly spread out schedule. It's not like the usual NHL schedule. It's like, hey, there's no games on a Tuesday. But Friday, nothing here overly excites me.
Not really, hey? Go ahead.
Jackets, Rangers?
Yeah.
The 3-2 Jackets?
Yeah. Winning tonight as well.
The 4-2 Jackets? Saturday. The Red Wings are going to be on Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah. We're in the process of trying to convince my mother-in-law to come down and spend the night here so that we can go to that hockey game. TBD. We'll let you know how that goes.
Okay. We might head on over to Twitter. You might see Nick live from the game.
Yeah. Probably very sad, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, if that happens, you're not going to be the one throwing a jersey on the ice. Like, that's the thing. If the Red Wings win that game, you might get to see jerseys thrown on the ice. And
you're right.
That's worth the price of admission right there.
Absolutely agreed. What about Minnesota, Colorado on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota's leading that division.
That'll be a good
the
game.
Blues. Yeah. Sunday. We already picked Columbus. We already picked Sabres. They're winning. Sabres Kings.
Okay, done. That'll be your spooky game of the week.
Yes, as you're eating all the candy. But then seems like a pretty obvious choice for next Monday, Washington, Tampa, or Edmonton, Seattle.
We should do Edmonton because you did promise to pick an Edmonton game this week.
I did. They're not playing many good teams this week. So,
well, Seattle will be a good one.
Seattle will be interesting at least. You'll get, I mean, they're playing the Flyers, they're playing the Canucks, like just some weird, I mean, I guess Canucks isn't weird. They're in the same division, but that's it. So head on over to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast with the number 4 and pick those games. Hey, join on in. Hopefully, for the sake of people who picked tonight, no one picked Steve Lorentz to score. I can tell you that much. But hopefully we get some more goals in that game. We can see. Look forward to tuning into that once we're done this show. You can find more about the show at thefourthlinepodcast.com. Head on over there. Find where you can find the show. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and obviously over with the fine folks at Full Press Radio and Full Press NHL. Thank you very much for tuning in. Until next week.
It's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. I really like how my Red Wings have the rookies pleasing. And I hope that you have a very good spooky season.